All right, we're going to get started in just another minute. If you're just joining us, this is a webinar format for you, so no microphones, no video on the participant side, so no worries about muting or anything. You cannot be heard and you cannot be seen. And we're going to get started probably right now, 7:05. So we're going to get going on this. We also are streaming this on our Facebook page, so if you have extra people and they are not in this meeting and they want to try and watch along, that's streaming live on our Facebook page for the Camp Frontier PSR page. But yeah, let's get started. So welcome to our summer camp kickoff date. I will say, again, my name's Steve Porter. We're going to do introductions in just a second. This is the first ever Camp Frontier kickoff that I have been at Camp Frontier for. Normally we're at Camp Neaconda hosting a dinner, and this is our first virtual one, and I'm really excited about this format because I think we can share some more things with you that we aren't normally able to share at our dinner kickoff, just because of internet and things like that. So we're really excited to be able to offer this via Zoom tonight, and I hope that this is something that works well for your troop as well, hopefully maybe for the future too. But without further ado, let's keep going. Welcome to the webinar. I talked about this again. If you're just joining us, this is a webinar, so you will not have access to your microphone or your camera. Nobody can see you, nobody can hear you, so no worries on that. But there is a way for you to communicate with us tonight and ask questions, because we definitely want to hear your questions, and that's through the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So if you look on your toolbar at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a small box that says Q&A. And you can click that, type your question in there, and we're going to be monitoring that box throughout the evening tonight and going through either answering those in person or via text and getting those out. If at the end of the meeting you feel like you have to have some more conversations, you want to have some in-depth questions answered for you, please don't hesitate to email myself, camp director at campdirector@psrweb.org, or feel free to call my office at any time. The numbers listed there, that's the camp office. It's also on the web page. We are going to have some QR codes. So if you saw our welcome screen just before, there was that little code that was up on the screen. This is something that we're going to have throughout the presentation. So if you have a smartphone with you, all you have to do is take out your smartphone, open up the camera app, and point the camera at that QR code, and it should pop up with the link, and you can click that, and it'll open up the web page on your phone. Not necessary, you don't need it, but if you're interested and want to have a quick look at some of the things that we're talking about in more depth, we are going to put those codes up tonight. So have your smartphone ready if you have one, and you can scan those as we go along. But other than that, let's move into some introductions. Again, my name's Steve Porter. I am the camp director here at Camp Frontier. Other people that'll be joining us tonight will be Chris Reynolds, our council camping director, Anna von Fonestock, our program director for the summer, Beth Young-Peter, who's going to be one of our program commissioners this summer, and Ty Pope, also a program commissioner. And then also joining us tonight is Ed Caldwell, the Scout Executive for Erie Shores Council, and he's going to have a message near the end of our presentation tonight. So all these people are on board, our leadership team, and we're really excited to be able to offer summer camp this year and go through all the ins and the outs of what it's going to look like. And right now, I would like to pass things over to Chris Reynolds, our council camping director, and he's going to talk a little bit about a safety moment and a few other things.
Hi guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Chris Reynolds. I've been working at camp now since I was a kid, working on summer camp staff. So I've been here quite a few years. I think 1989 was my first year on staff. So anyway, with that said, I've always been into woodworking and so on. There's another person that was kind of I don't know if a hero is the right word, but kind of a hero or role model for me. And that went back to a TV show way back when. It was called This Old House, and it's still being made today, but the original master carpenter was Norm Abram. And he had another show along, and he always talked about the most important item, and that's these safety glasses. So as I talk about safety glasses here, what I'd like you to remind you to do, everywhere in life, each of you have two of these eyes, and that's all you ever get. So make sure you wear these to protect them. And that goes anywhere from when you're at home, when you're at work, or when you are teaching scouts how to use totem chip skills. So make sure that you guys as a troop have safety glasses, and that you're instructing scouts how important it is to protect those eyes that will be there the rest of their lives. So with that, that is my safety moment for tonight. Just want to make sure that you're thinking about those things. What I'd like to move on to next is the contact information. If you look on page 4 of your leader's guide, it goes over all the contact information for camp. And most of this has not changed from years previous, but I just want to make sure you know that that's where it's all available, and it has all the management staff available on that page, along with an email address to get a hold of those people at if you have particular questions. It also has their phone numbers and so on, along with quick links that can get you to the right place for information. So if you have a question about almost anything, whether it has to do with our program or the facility itself, you can probably find the answer on that page 4, following the links throughout, either on the website or through the leader's guide. We've tried to accomplish having every answer out there for you to be able to find instantly when you need it. If there's something that you don't find the answer to, feel free to contact any one of us and let us know, and we will get you the answer. We have a 24-hour turnaround time is what we're always shooting for when you shoot off answer your questions to us. So that's our goal. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way, but that is definitely our goal for those answers. Also with that, we will include any other extra questions or otherwise that we can answer in future leaders guides. So even if you think it's something minor, let us know about it. We'd love to get it in there so that people in the future can also have that answer right at their fingertips. So the other thing that I get to talk about, since I am the facilities director and I take care of most of the facilities at camp, I get to talk about what's new at camp. And some of these things may be a programmatic item, but other times it is more of the facility side. So with that said, some of the cool things that are going to happen, we always try to put in the front page of the leader's guide so that you can open up immediately and see, hey, what's going to happen new or different this year? So if you look in the very front page, you'll see what's called as a what's new page. And on that page, you'll see that we're adding Scouting Heritage Merit Badge. That'll be offered as a merit badge for this summer. We're adding new hammock camping areas in some of the campsites. And those campsites are actually going to be, the poles are already installed, so that they are on their way. But Butler, De La Salle, Carson, and Powell. And so each of those hammock camping areas can camp up to 12 people. And I guess I do want to say that's Butler South has the hammock camping area. And they are generally right off the edge of the campsite, so they're very easy to get to. They are steel poles. They will have hookups for up to 12 people. And then that way any scout or leader can bring their hammock from home, purchase one in the trading post, or otherwise, and be able to set up and either hammock during the day, or if you would rather hammock at night and camp in it, you're obviously welcome to do that also. So again, that is going to be in Butler, De La Salle, Carson, and Powell campsites. Other new improvements our Camp Stewards program has done for us is we have added concrete pads in Crockett campsite, Boone campsite, and Houston campsite. And that's a 25-foot by 25-foot concrete pad in the site that eventually, not this year and maybe a couple years yet, but eventually we'll have a pavilion over it. But for now, it's a concrete pad to get you up out of the mud if we happen to have a really rainy week again. We are trying to get through all the campsites eventually to get that done, but that is where we have started, and those are the ones that are currently in place now, and those will be there. One other hammock camping area I did mention, which is on the What's New page, is we have also added one for Camping Outpost. And specifically Camping Outpost, the scouts that go on Camping Outpost this year, the first 12 people that sign up, we have hammock tents that were provided to us through a grant that they can take out and use as a camping outpost, so they can camp in their hammock, and it does have a rain fly and so on in case it does happen to rain that night. So that's also another new program that will be a new thing for Camping Outpost. We've added a bunch of other things behind the scenes, water lines going to the COSA pavilion and the tower area, and also FTC, a new sewer line that runs to the new handicrafts training area. We've purchased some new equipment, hope to have new tar and chip on the roads before camp. It may have to wait until after camp. If you keep taking a look at that list, though, you'll see all kinds of the new information. I'm not going to go over all of them right now, but definitely a good thing to take a look at and make sure your scouts understand what's going on there. All right, Steve, you want to move me on to the next slide? The last thing I want to talk about is camp staff. We always are looking for the best possible camp staff we can find. And the only way we have really good ways to talk to scouts out there is through you guys as Scoutmasters, committee chairmen, and SPLs to tell your scouts about it. There is not a better thing in the world as far as a learning ability is to be able to teach things that you've learned. And so if the scouts have learned all these skills of all the way up through the time they've spent in scouting, for them to come out and be able to teach it, it really cements that skill into their mind, and they'll be able to even keep it even better for the future. They learn all kinds of new activities. Being on camp staff is a family that gets together every year. We hire on almost 100 scouts to become camp staff. They can be male, female, age 15 on up can apply for a paid position. Those that are 14 can apply for a CIT position. Either way, they're going to use the same application, and you can have them get that QR code, either scan that or let them know to just go on the website and look at the staff application page, and they can get all signed up right on the website. And then Steve or one of the camp management will get a hold of them for an interview and see where we can place them in our staff. We are always looking for staff, always want to have a top-notch staff. And that, again, does come from you all to help push those scouts or non-scouts to us and let them know that they're really going to make a difference in somebody's life versus just being at home, possibly, and flipping burgers at McDonald's or otherwise.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. My apologies. I've got a trigger finger tonight. It's jumping through slides sometimes. So if you see one go forward and backward, that's all my fault. I do want to take a break really quick. I want to put up a couple polls that we have just to get a feel for how people are feeling about summer camp this year. The first one that I'm going to be putting up, I'd like to know how excited you are for summer camp and what you're most excited about. Let me get this put up for you. So I'm going to leave this up just for a few seconds, and feel free to grab something and say this is what I'm most excited about, and then we'll show the results live once I get some votes in here. I'll give it just a couple more seconds. It looks like some last minute votes are coming in. All right, so I'm gonna pull it and we're gonna take a look. And it looks like right now, merit badges seem to be the thing that people are most excited about for summer camp. And I can completely understand that. Last year, we weren't able to offer merit badges, and that is something that we are planning on offering this year. So it looks like we can get that started for you and get that going. And looks like our runner-up would have been campfires. So just some interesting stuff to look at. Another poll that I wanted to take a look at really quick, another question, is what is your largest concern for summer camp coming up? And I'm going to launch this one real quick, and I'm going to give you a few more seconds to make a decision on that one. Just a couple more. We've got a few more votes coming in, it looks like. All right, and we're going to pull that, and looking at this, it looks like COVID-19 safety is what we're most concerned about this year. And again, I can completely understand that. We're going to have a good portion coming up right now talking about some of the changes that we're going to have at camp this year for COVID and how we're going to keep your scouts safe at camp. So that's something that we're going to have a lot of information about as we go through the evening tonight. And I'm glad to see that that's on there because I want to address any questions you might have. All right, so moving forward, let's see, COVID-19 and summer camp, my next slides. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing at camp. We've been working really closely with the Williams County Health Department, our local health department here, to come up with a plan that is approved and safe for scouts out at camp, while also allowing them to come out and take some merit badges, have fun, and enjoy the summer. So Some things that we will be having in place this year, which I think everyone can get behind and is aware of, is we will be requiring masks at camp. These will be required when you're in your classes, when you're inside buildings. In last year, how we did this, we required them when they were inside a building, inside any class or anything like that, but they were not required when you were socially distancing, walking around outside. So if you were maintaining 6 feet or more distance, walking around to and from outside, we did not require masks, but anytime you were in a program area, indoor or outdoor, you had those masks on, and also when you were in close quarters with other members of your troop. So that will be required again this year. That's something that you're going to want to keep in mind. You will have to provide your own mask when you come to camp, and we recommend that you bring multiple ones, so that way you can change them out throughout the week. Social distancing falls right behind that. We will be requiring social distancing in our merit badge classes. So we'll be spacing out our classes to get that distance. We're also going to be adjusting our merit badge classes, and I'll talk about that in a second coming up. And then we're also going to be requiring hand washing when you enter and exit program areas for merit badges. And we're also going to push hand washing in the campsite as well. So that way, if you do have anything on your hands, it's getting washed off multiple times a day and not being passed on to another person. So that is the general procedures. And then going into more details, we will be doing pre-screening, but this is something that you're going to be doing at home before you come to camp. There's a new page in the Leader's Guide. So if you haven't looked at the Leader's Guide lately, then last update came out on the 22nd, 2 days ago. And that has this information. It has all of this information in it, actually. And that page has a checklist that you use right before you leave to come to camp. And that is going to be what you're using to check off whether you're using CUM or not. It's going to include symptoms, checking to make sure you don't have a fever, things like that. And that's going to be a form that you have to fill out and put your name at the bottom. And if you're a youth, you're going to have a parent signature on that. So this is going to be an additional form at camp that'll go right along with the health forms and the talent release forms that we have already in the system. So this is going to be in addition, and we'll be requiring this at check-in when you arrive at camp. Please pre-screen right before you leave. This doesn't do us a whole lot of help if you do it a week before you come out to camp. So we want you to be doing this right before you leave, checking temperatures, checking symptoms, and going through this list. And again, if you don't pass this pre-screening checklist, you must stay home. That is how it is this year. We're not taking any chances with that. I think I saw a question about health forms. Health forms are the same. There's no additional requirements for the health forms. Part A, B, and C will be required with a doctor's signature. And that's how we'll be going through with health forms this year, but you will have this additional pre-screening that'll be required. And I'm going to show you at the end of the meeting where to find that on our website. Tenting procedures. So troops may choose to have scouts share tents or sleep individually. I know last year we did 1 tent per person. This year we've been working with the health department and looking at the rules that the CDC has in place, and we are going to be allowing multiple people to stay in the same tent, given that they follow youth protection guidelines. We do ask that scouts that share sleep head to toe. So if one scout is sleeping one way, we want the other scout sleeping the other to give as much space between heads as possible. So that is what we're going to recommend if your troop decides to do this. But again, this is up to your troop on what they want to do. You're more than welcome to require 1 person per tent and go above and beyond these rules. And that's a discussion that you should have with your unit on the unit level. Troops and platform sites. We only have so many platforms in those sites, and we're not planning on adding any. So most platform sites have 16 platforms for a total of 32 if you do 2 per tent. If you're doing 1 person per tent, you may want to bring some additional tents from your troop to set up outside of that, but we won't be able to add any more platforms. We don't have any more than what we already have at camp. So just keep that in mind, that if you normally fit in a certain site with platforms and you're doing 1 person, you may want to let your troop know so that way they can plan ahead of time and bring those extra tents. Merit badge classes. These ones, we have made some adjustments from the original posting of the Leader's Guide when it first came out in January. These adjustments have been made to the class sizes. So most of our class sizes have all been taken down to 10 or less for our classes. So that way we can limit the amount of people in each class and have enough place for social distancing. But with limiting the number, that also means that we're limited to how many people we can teach a merit badge to at a given time. To prevent some overloading of the system, this is something that we may have to put in place for some of our larger weeks, and we may only be allowing up to 3 to 4 merit badges, and as opposed to the traditional 5 merit badges that they can take in a week of summer camp. That's going to be communicated to you for your week via email through our email messaging. So that way you'll know for your week, because if we have a really light week of camp, we're going to allow them to fill up their schedules. But if we have a week of camp where it's quite heavy, we may need to reduce that down just to make sure that everyone gets some merit badges. And there aren't people with 5 and other people with only 2 because the schedule got full. But this we feel is the best way to handle this and still offer merit badges that are individual when it comes to the schedule. So these will be individually registered per youth. You won't have to take merit badges as a group out at camp. This is something that we talked about. And as long as we're social distancing and wearing masks, our health department is okay with going through with doing mixed classes like this. And again, masks will be used to prevent exposure with the programs. Meals and food service. This is another big change that's going to be coming up for food service. We are hoping that we have enough vaccines and things change for us as we get closer to camp. But as of right now, we do have a very large change for the Plan A meal food service that normally eats in the dining hall. And that is that we will actually be delivering this food hot and ready to eat to your campsite 3 times a day. We're working, and I'm working with the ranger staff and our food service people to figure out how we can do this effectively and make sure that you get food that is just as good, just as delicious, on time, hot, ready to eat. But we are asking our troops to help us out with this, and we're asking them to provide their own table service. Now that can be disposable, that can be mess kits that you wash in the site. You might want to bring things to wash those with. So if you need to wash stuff, that'll be on you as well. But we would like you to provide table service and also a small selection of serving utensils, spoons, ladles, things like that, tongs, just to get the food out, because the food will be served family style in large containers. So you will have to divvy it out onto your own table service with serving utensils. We're going to be working with this and going through any hiccups that we might have before we get to camp. So there may be more information on this when we get there, but right now this is what we're going to plan on doing, just because we simply can't have enough space to space everybody out at the dining hall and keep everybody safe underneath the tent that we normally have. Plan B and C, we are requiring that when you're preparing food in the site to wear masks and food service gloves while you are actively preparing that food, and we ask that you bring those along with you and police that yourself. And then all meal plans will be asked to divide their troop up into groups of 8 people or less, or it can be 10 if you have very small scouts, but 8 is probably a good number because that's how many people can fit at one of our picnic tables. We're trying our best to make sure that we limit exposure as much as possible. This is the one that I work on the most with the health department. And we're asking that you divide your troop into these groups of 8 people, 10 people, if you can fit them at the picnic table, but 8 is probably more realistic. And eat and you do things with that group, just that group. So for example, if you have a group of 13 scouts, you're going to have to divide that into 2 separate groups, and then each group will eat together at their picnic tables in their sites. That way their exposure to people without masks in close quarters is limited to just 10 people or 8 people, and not the entire troop at any given time. This was the best thing that we could come up with that is going to limit exposure and keep people safe, and also be able to have as many people as we can have at camp. So if you have any questions specifically about that, I can always talk with you personally about that and go from there. And then the last thing that I know a lot of people probably have questions about are campfires, flags, ceremonies, rubric cantinas, all the things we do as a large group together in camp. And those things we're still sorting out. We would like to offer things like this in that sort of way, but still be able to social distance and wear masks, or maybe offer an alternative in the same spirit that keeps us safe. This is something that we're going to be talking about with our leadership team during our planning conference in April, and we'll be emailing out any changes at that time to these programs. But if we're not able to figure out a way to do them traditionally by also keeping social distance and masks, we're going to figure out a way that meets the same spirit of the activity, but keeps us safe. So keep watching your email for any updates on large activities like that as we move closer to summer camp. I noticed that there's a lot of Q&As coming through in the Q&A box. What I would like to do, instead of trying to answer those on the spot right now, is I'm going to go through that Q&A box, and any unanswered questions that we have at the end, I'm going to go through and spend as much time as we need to answer those in person, or if they're more lengthy, we can set up some email or phone call stuff after that. So I'm going to move on to the next section, and that is the basic information on camp. These are the dates and the deadlines. This is on page 5 of your leader's guide. And basically it lists your week numbers, your dates of camp, your pre-camp meeting, which will be at Toledo at the Jadel Leadership Center near Camp Neaconda in Toledo. And then also your registration merit badge selection open date. So that's when you're able to start registering youth for merit badges and putting names into the system. And then also the date that that system closes for your week. We'll have a whole lot more emails and videos and information about registration later on. But for right now, I just wanted you to be aware of these. If you don't know what week you're coming to summer camp or don't have that information, feel free to email me and I can get that for you. Fees for camp this year also listed in the leader's guide. We do offer an early bird rate of a $20 discount off of the regular rate if it's paid by April 26th. And that is as many paid by that date. We'll get that discount. Anybody not paid by that date will be at the regular rate. Leaders are always discounted. There's a leader discount rate, and those are also listed here. If you only pay for a certain number of your scouts by April 26th, those ones will be discounted. Anybody added afterward will just be at the regular rate, and payment is always paid in full per scout. We do have a free leader discount, and that's automatically calculated online for you. And basically, when you put in how many scouts you're bringing, it's going to calculate how many free leaders you get. So every troop gets 1 free leader right off the bat for signing up for camp. So if you're signed up for camp, it'll automatically discount you 1 free leader when you start putting in those leaders. And then for every 10 scouts, you will get an additional free leader. So if you bring 10 scouts to camp, you get 2 free leaders. If you bring 20, you get 3, and so on. So that's how you qualify for those free leader discounts. We do have a credit card processing fee. So if you're paying fees online, we do have a 2.5% processing fee for credit card. But eCheck is available and it is free. This is something that's new as of a couple years ago. So if you're able to pay via check and you want to just use the routing number and account number on the bottom of your check and pay via eCheck, that is free processing, and that saves you having to mail it into the council office and wait for the payment to be applied to your account. It'll be applied right then when it goes through, and there is no processing fee for eCheck, just for credit card processing and debit card processing. Basically any card, Visa, MasterCard, that gets put into the system is going to have a processing fee, but eCheck will not. Adult leadership at camp. So this is something that's brand new this year as well. So all leaders coming to camp must have current youth protection. That's not new, but new this year, we are requiring that every single leader register with the Michigan Central Registry clearance. I know we're a camp and we're Erie Shores Council out of Toledo, Ohio, but if you haven't been to PSR before, you may know that the line goes right through the state line goes right through our property, and you cross the line several times a day. Michigan has a law where any youth serving organization, not just the Boy Scouts of America, so this is through their state, needs to have a central registry clearance. It's a one-time clearance. You only have to do this once, but it is a lengthy process. You have to fill out paperwork, you have to attach a photocopy of your identification, and you have to mail, or I believe fax, but I think mail is their preferred way, into their offices, and then they will mail you back your clearance. You only have to do this once, to my knowledge. So you do not have to do this every single year, and you want to have that mailed to your home, not to camp, because there is a spot there to mail it to camp on the form. Make sure it's mailed to your home address. Hold on to your original and only provide us with the copies, but this is going to be required for all leaders 18 years of age and older at camp, so that way we can get them registered. And I'm sorry, I said 18 years of age and older. I need to double check that. I think it may actually be 21, and that information is on the website. I have the QR code here. Feel free to grab it. It's got a write-up and the form where you can download it, but this may be something that takes time that you need to wait for it to come back. It's not something that you can do when you show up at camp. So I recommend getting any leader you think might be attending camp this summer to fill out this form, get that form mailed, and get that taken care of, just in case it's going to take a little bit longer. And then leaders staying over 72 hours must also be registered members of the Boy Scouts. So if you're not registered, It's okay if you're only coming up for less than 3 days, but if you're coming up past that 72-hour mark, you need to be registered with a unit, and you need to be able to provide us with proof of that, either by providing your charter with those names listed or your membership card that is in date. If you have questions about that, I can handle that. I know this is new for this year, especially with the Michigan Central Registry clearance, and this is something that I'm going to be working on and sending out lots of reminder emails and information to make sure everyone's aware of these deadlines when they're coming up. Camp text alerts. So we do have alerts at camp. We primarily use these for emergencies for people at home if something happens at camp. So that way we can get messages out, severe weather, maybe a storm came through or there's something, that happened at camp and we want to alert all our parents so they know that everyone's safe. This is something that we have. We also use it occasionally to remind people of upcoming leader meetings and also your upcoming summer camp week. If you're interested in doing this and you've already done it, we wipe our list every year because your week number may change, so you have to redo it every single year. Just text your week number to the number above, or your text code to the number above, and it'll subscribe you to our list. You can also scan the QR code and it'll bring up our webpage with the same information and get signed up for those. So that way, if we do have any emergencies, you can sign up. Page 9 of the Leader's Guide has our vehicle policy. If you're new to camp, we don't allow personal vehicles back into the sites. We only allow golf carts, bicycles, electric scooters. No gators, ATVs, or personal vehicles are allowed back in camp. There's a form you can fill out at this QR code or on our website, which I'll show you later, and you'll basically let us know that you'd like to bring one of these things for the mobility assistant. If you'd like, we do have some golf carts limited available to rent at camp for $200 for the week. That includes the fuel and everything. It'll be ready to go. Or you can choose to bring your own golf cart, electric scooter, or bicycle, but we do not accept ATVs, gators, or personal vehicles past the parking lot at any times for safety. For dietary restrictions and food allergies, please let us know that through the online form. I'll show you that where it is on the website, or you can scan the QR code again. We'll be able to get out and reach out with you sometime before camp starts just to come up with a plan on whether we're able to accommodate or whether they may need to provide some of their own food. But either way, we want to work with you to try and accommodate for whatever diet or allergy you may have and figure out what the best way we can do it before you get to camp, so that way we have a lot of success with that. So keep that in mind if you have people with dietary restrictions or food allergies. Sign-up dates for 2022. So we do have 2022 sign-up starting. I know it's not that far away. It's happening in June. So if you are looking to get your special campsite or one that you really, really wanted in 2022, in-council opens up on June 8th. Online, out-of-council opens up on June 15th. And then if you're a member of our Adopt a Campsite program, you get to do it a week early on June 1st. If you don't know what that program is about, email Chris Reynolds, our camping director, who just talked about our safety moment and everything else, and we'll get his email out, or it's on the contact page he shared, and he can give you more information about how that program works. Some things we did have to cancel this year. One of those, or two of those things, are our provisional camper and free SPL week. Normally we asked for host units to host people from all over the tri-state area. With COVID this year, we are not going to be asking units to host people outside of their troop. So this is not something that we're planning on offering for camp. So if you were trying to come as a provisional camper or do a free SPL week, unfortunately, you will probably have to wait till 2022 for that. That's not something that we'll be offering. If you have a neighboring troop or know a troop and you would like to attend with them and you reach out to the troop and they want to do it that way, just let me know and I can work on getting the registration set up as long as everyone's okay with it. But we're not doing an official one, and we're not asking troops to host people outside of their normal troop just for safety reasons this year. But if you do have a special situation where you normally attend with another unit and you already have a relationship with that unit, let me know and I can get that worked out for you. And as far as free SPLs, we're just not doing that program this year at all. SPL weekend is also one that we had to cancel for our in-person event. This is something where we decided that it would be better to keep people more separated, especially since right now summer camp's happening in June and July, and we have a few more months to get vaccines in. This was supposed to be in April, and we just, with working with the health department, don't feel comfortable having an in-person event in April yet. We will be holding a virtual event on the same weekend. It'll be an afternoon with about 3 to 4 hours of virtual sessions via Zoom. And you can use the same URL that's in the Leaders Guide that's always been there to register for this event. And we look forward to hosting SPLs. We're going to talk a little bit about what to plan on for camp, some of the fun stuff that we're doing, maybe have a few online games and fun in-person stuff, not in person, but virtual. So keep that in mind and feel free to sign up for that if your SPL is interested. We're still limiting it to 2 SPLs per, because we only have so many people we can fit into a Zoom meeting at once. Custom early bird hats. Everyone who registers by the early bird date and pays their fees by the early bird date gets a free early bird hat. You can get that customized with your troop number and hometown on the back, and the orders are due the same day as the early bird deadline, April 26th, and it would be an additional $5.50 per hat to get those. Now, if you only had 5 early bird that were paid, but you wanted 10 hats, you could buy 5 more. They just cost $17.50 each for 5 more personalized hats, or the hats are also available for purchase in the Trading Post non-personalized for $12 a piece. So just keep that in mind. If you want personalized ones, those orders are also due on April 26th, as well as our pre-sale t-shirt orders. These can be personalized or not personalized, but if you order them through the pre-sale, you can get them at a discount, and they're $2 off the normal price that's in the Trading Post. So if you're looking to get these at a better rate and get them for your whole troop, you can order these, and you can do it on April 26th as well as the order deadline. There's an online order form for those as well, or there's one in the back of the Leaders Guide right next to the hat one. And these ones, again, can be either ordered regular or personalized, and there's a picture there of what the personalization looks like on the sleeve with your troop number and your hometown. So those are also available. Personalization's an extra $5.50, just like the hat. And then I think Anna, our program director, is up to bat to talk about some of our fun merit badge offerings this summer.
Hello, everyone. So I did see a couple questions about the programs being offered. Hopefully I answer your questions throughout this. So the first thing I want to do is bring your attention back to the Leaders Guide. There have been a couple updates. The first update I wanted to point out is the merit badge schedule. It's laid out in 2 different ways. It's laid out by the date and time, and it's also laid out by the area. So whichever way you're looking at it, hopefully those will help you find the specific merit badges that you're looking for. And one thing I want to also keep in mind is if your scout is taking a specific merit badge, maybe an outpost, there may be an additional fee attached to that. So refer to the Leaders Guide for the specifics of that. And there have been a few changes, like Steve mentioned previously, to the class sizes. So please keep in mind when you're signing up your scouts for that, how many scouts can actually take that class at that specific time. And then, so moving into the next slide. So like I mentioned, we have outposts offered. These are some of our outposts. I think actually it's all of our outposts that are being offered. One thing to note in the Leaders Guide, I believe it specifies if there's additional costs, and also there's a couple that I think need permission slips. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when your scouts are signing up for these, that they can get the permission slips signed before camp. Cool. I think that's it on that. And then open area activities. If you refer to page 22, like I mentioned, there's been a kind of an update on the times for the areas. And if you're curious what specific things are being offered, I know Handicrafts has a lot of open area activities offered every evening. Please refer to that page. And if you have questions, my email's in the Leaders Guide in the beginning. Shoot me a note. Cool. Yeah.
All right, and I think that Beth Young-Peter, one of our awesome program commissioners out at camp, who you probably, if you've been out there before, know and love for her hydration commercials, is going to talk to us a little bit about another program that she really is a big part of out at camp, which is our Arrow of Light Resident Camp Program.
And speaking of hydration, it's been about 45 minutes since the Zoom meeting's called. So if you want to grab your trusty Nalgene or whatever water bottle you choose, because a hydrated camper is a happy camper, even on a Zoom meeting, this would be a good time to have a water break. But we do have 2 sessions for Arrow of Light Camp. The first one is on Sunday, August 1st to August 4th. Then the second session is from August 4th to August 7th. So it's from Sunday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Saturday. The cost for in-council scouts are $164, And the cost for an out of council scout is $174, and for all leaders, it's $96. Our main goal for Arrow of Light Camp is they do work on advancements, but our main goal is to get them really excited to do kind of have like a taste of what it's like to be at the troop level in Boy Scouts. And so they do get experience like Root Beer Cantina and the Lakefront and Water Ball and Camp-wide games and astronomy, and just to kind of have that experience of getting to kind of experience Camp Frontier. So they can, when they join the troop for next year, they'll be there for a whole week and experience the funness of Camp Frontier. So, and I think you can also register. You can on the QR code or also on the website, and information's also in the leader's guide. So see you this summer.
Awesome, thanks, Beth. And one thing to note on the Arrow of Light program that I just thought of, I think registration's set to open up on March 1st in a couple days. So if you get there and you see that the registration's not open yet, give it a couple days. I think it says on there that it opens March 1st as well, but it will be opening shortly. So if you're interested, get signed up. After that, I want to give you a quick tour of our website. So I am going to switch gears just a second, and I'm going to pull up a web browser, and I'm going to show you just a few things on our web page to help you navigate it to be more successful for summer camp. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to pull that up for you. And any of the panelists, if you can't see the website, flag me down, because you know how I am with sharing things. But you should be seeing the website right now, and this is psrweb.org. So this is the main web page for camp, and this is where a lot of stuff happens for summer camp and for year round. But what I really want to focus on right now is the Scouts BSA Summer Camp tab. So right here is all your information for summer camp. This is where you can reserve a campsite if you haven't made a reservation yet. Another one that I want to talk about is our Leaders/Parents Guide. This is right here. It'll give you your last revised date, which was 2 days ago when we put all that extra COVID stuff in. So that's there. And then as we move on from this meeting, if we do have any more updates, we'll issue a document as well that goes along with this version or whatever version comes next, excuse me, that lets you know what was changed from the previous version. So that way you know what updated, whether it's a code information or anything like that. And that document will show up here as well as if we make changes, which we might. One thing to note about the Leaders Guide is this year you may have noticed that we didn't have any printed versions of the Leaders Guide. Last year we printed the Leaders Guide and handed it out, and then it probably got used as a great campfire starter because we completely canceled our program. We did not print our Leaders Guide in mass this year because of COVID. It's an expensive thing to print, and we don't know what changes are going to happen. And if we have a lot of revisions, we wanted you to have the most recent up-to-date version, and we want you to be able to access that online. So it is available for download here, or you can print one off if you want to print one off and have that for your binder. If you don't have access to a printer, which I know some people may not, we want to make sure that you still have access to our Leaders Guide, or if you don't have access to, internet or something like that. So feel free to send me an email, give me a phone call, and let me know. I will get one printed here on the copier. It will be black and white, but we'll print one for you and we'll get it mailed out to you so that way you can access that information as well. But again, with COVID this year, we don't know how many changes we're going to have, so we did not do a printed version this year, just so everyone's aware of that. Moving on with this tour, the fees and the meal plans are here if you need those. I did notice that somebody was looking at the menus. Menus, I think, still list as 2019 menus, and that is probably the only thing that I think is not updated yet on here. This is something that has not changed yet because we just got our word from the health department on how we have to do food service and how we're going to be doing meals out on the campsites. So this menu may be a little different than what we're normally used to, because we're going to plan our menu around food that keeps hot well and is able to transport well. So that way you still get a quality menu and food that comes out. Whenever this gets updated, we're going to start working with our commissary people to get this planned out. And whenever we get this updated, we're going to send an email out so you know when those are new. So right now I know they're 2019. Those are going to change hopefully in the next couple of weeks when we get those updated to our new food service plan. Also on here, some other things that I like to point out is the resources and forms. Very, very helpful page here. I know it's a long list, but here's all the forms that we ever talk about at camp. We talked about that Michigan Central Registry clearance. Here's that information in the form to download that you have to fill out and send in. So that's right here with instructions. So that one's one that's important to know where that's at. Also on here are all the back pages to our leader's guide that you may want to be printing out. So our fee transmittal form, if you need to send in paper checks, is right here. Swim help checks, personal equipment list to pass out to your scouts. Also that COVID pre-event medical screening checklist. So that's also available right here, brand new up on the page. And this is something that you're going to want to fill out and have a signature of participant and parent if they're under 18. So this is one that you're going to be turning in for camp. That's where that one's located on our webpage. Also in this forms page is where you can find our online forms for those mobility assistance devices, special dietary restrictions. We talked about that as well. Text messaging alerts, campership program, staff applications, all of that stuff is right here in this list ready to go for you. So it's a great resource. And that's pretty much the gist. You can explore more. Arrow of Light Camp, Beth talked about that. The registration links here, as well as the link for the Leader's Guide. This Leader's Guide was last updated 121. We do need to revise this just to check on things for COVID, but I don't know if this one's going to change very much because the Webelos camp is a little bit different in the way we do things. So we'll see, but we are going to take a look at that and see how that goes. And Michigan Central Registry clearance is required for that as well. All leaders, including our staff, will have to do this. Also on our webpage, our information for the application for camp staff. And then another thing that I like to point out is if anybody's ever interested in what jobs we still have open, our job board's available. So this is for this summer. I just recently updated it. And as you can see, it lists every single program area and what positions we're still looking to fill. And we still are looking to fill quite a few positions this year. So if you have somebody who's interested, please look at this list. There may be something that sparks your eye, sparks your interest, fill out an application, talk with us, and we can get that stuff figured out. And we are filling it up. I get applications every day, but there are still a lot of holes that we need to fill. So that's there as well. Also, let me make sure that I got everything on my list that I wanted to talk about. Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is the actual online system. So when you're logged in online, or if you come to our webpage, which is the psrweb.org, you go right up here. It says log out now because I'm already logged in. But this is where you will log into your unit account. And this is where you will sign up for merit badges, register your scouts, manage all your summer camp stuff. That's where it is. So you'd hit login there, put in your information. If you don't know your login information, send me an email. I will send that information to you and you can take a look. And if it's changed from different people who are in charge of your troop, I can get that switched over too. When you're logged in, it looks like this. If you're registered for summer camp's going to show up here. It's going to be a big button that says whatever week summer camp, and you can click on that, go in and manage that. But today, the only thing I want to talk about is your contact info. So right when you get logged in, this is what your screen will look like. If you go over here to manage profile, you can scroll down and you can see your troop information here. And then right here is the big one that I want to talk about. This is your contact information, and this is how we get a hold of you. So check this when you log in, and if it's outdated and you need to update it, please update this because this is the email address right here that we send everything to. This is the person that is on the main person on the account for you. This is the phone number, the main phone number on your account, and also fill out your address. So that way, if we need to mail you a leader's guide because you requested one, or need to mail you a postcard to remind you to sign up for summer camp or something like that, we have the most up-to-date address. Now, if you want an additional person to also receive emails, you can put that person down here. So as you can see, this one is myself, and then Chris is our additional person, but he doesn't have his email listed, so he's not going to get my email. So if he wants to receive my emails, he would have to put in his email. So chris@psrweb.org. I can't talk and type at the same time, I'm sorry. Now it's not saved yet. We have to hit save changes. And now Chris will receive all the emails that I send out. So make sure you hit save after you update it, and that's how you update your contact information. That's really important for us so that way we can get a hold of you. And if you have any questions about the website, let me know and we can go through that. And I can also do Zoom meetings one-on-one to show you more personalized things on the website, or go right through your account and show you how to do things. So that's another thing that we're offering this year in addition to our other virtual things. I'm going to go back to our presentation really fast. Here we go. And I think I had one more poll that I wanted to ask. Actually, I wanted a couple more. So this one right here, after you've seen most of our presentation, for future events, for these kickoff events, normally we host a dinner and do these in person. But this is the first time that we've ever done this online, virtually, and it has some benefits because we can show you some more things, but it also doesn't get that that in-person thing. But also, I know a lot of people who don't like to make the drive, who are 3 or 4 hours out. So I was just interested and curious to see how many people like our new format or would like to go back to an in-person event in the future, assuming that COVID calms down. And I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. I've got a few more votes coming in. I want to make sure we get everyone a chance to give us their feedback on that. And let's see, waiting for it to slow down a little bit. All right, and I am going to grab this. And it looks like out of the people that voted, 74% like a virtual event. So something for us to think about in the future. And perhaps maybe we'll do 2 events. I don't know, but good feedback to have. So I appreciate that. And then another one that I would like to put out for you. Let me launch this. So would you be interested, this is outside of our kickoff dinner, would you be interested in more smaller group sessions for Q&A? And would that be helpful for you leading up to summer camp, maybe by week? Do you like doing these Zoom meetings for summer camp? Would you want more throughout the next couple of months to answer questions and show you how to do registration? Maybe more webinars to show you how to do registration and sign up for camp? Because I am open to doing those as well, as long as there is an interest. And I'm going to give just a little bit longer for this to populate. All right. And I think we've got most of them. And I'm going to pull these. And it looks like we got a mixed bag. Some people are maybe. So we might try some. I think I want to do at least 1 more or 2 more just to get people on board. But I'm trying to figure out the best way to use this new Zoom platform that everyone seems to be using because of COVID, to maybe use it every single year for summer camp to allow people another avenue to get questions answered and get the information that they need. Awesome. Thank you so much. As we're going to an end, that is all I have, but I do have a message from our Scout executive, Ed Caldwell, who'd like to share a few things for us real quick.
Welcome, Scouters. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate all that the team has done this year. I just wanted to start with or end, I should say, with a special thank you from Erie Shores Council. We're so glad that you're on the Zoom tonight, and we appreciate all the questions and the thoughts and the planning to get our kids to summer camp this summer. We're excited and know that we can provide a wonderful program for our youngsters this summer. I want to say a special thank you to the Frontier staff. I think that the meeting was very informative. I know I learned a few things tonight, and I'm really proud of the team for the effort that they're going through to make sure that everybody has the proper information as we prepare for summer. We're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful summer camp experience, and we look forward to seeing you there. So thanks again so much for attending tonight, and we really appreciate it. We'll see you around the campfire.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate that. And like I said, too, this is something where we weren't quite sure how many people we were going to have. So I didn't have our council board members on here either tonight, except for a couple. But between our Scout executive, Ed Caldwell, and our council board and all of our volunteer committees, we have a huge, overwhelming amount of support for our program here at Erie Shores and at Pioneer Scout Reservation. And I am truly blessed as a camp director to have them have my back through, especially navigating camp through COVID. And we're excited to be able to offer a whole lot more this year. Moving on, questions. So I do want to take a quick look at the Q&A. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down because there are quite a few. And I'm going to go through these and get these answered for you for anybody who has them. So let me take a look real fast. So it looks like the Leader's Guide, Flandern Camp. Yes, so we do plan on having a full set of programs this year. We plan on having full merit badges, just with less people in each badge and socially distancing. So that's one that is different from this year. Let's see, hammock campsite. So this is something that we have not talked about yet, but we do have 4 sites that have hammocks. The hammock sites can hold up to 12 people each. And the question is, if there's 2 people sharing a campsite, who gets to use the hammocks? That's a great question. I don't know how popular this is going to be. I know a lot of troops just have usually 1, 2, maybe 3 scouts that want to bring their hammocks and actually sleep in them and camp in them. So if it's only a few from each troop, it would be ideal to let them share that type of site, especially given that they should be relatively distant in that site, and they can do head to toe if they need to in there, and there's plenty of space between each one. But if it becomes a issue where some people are wanting to use the entire hammock camping site, that's something that I think we're going to have to get a more in-depth conversation to figure that out. So I'll talk with Chris and see if we need to add any more policies for that. But our hope is that anybody who comes to camp who wants to hammock can hammock if they're in those sites. I just don't know how popular it's going to be because we've never had these before. So. Any additional COVID-related precautions, requirements for coming out of the state of Michigan? We don't have any other than that signed COVID checker that's there. So that would be one that you'd have to have, but we're not requiring anything for out-of-state people at this time, unless for some reason the health department changes anything. But from what I've seen, things are getting more relaxed and getting tighter as the vaccine gets rolled out. So I don't think that will happen, but we will let you know if it does. And then get these done. Will there be daily temperature checks required for camp? No, we will not have daily temperature checks required at camp, but we are requiring that you take your temperature before you leave and check your sheet off that you're still under an approved temperature. If at camp you feel ill at any point in time or feel that you do have a fever, we're asking that people go to the health lodge immediately, get that checked out, and anybody who does have any symptoms for COVID-19 will be sent home right away. We won't be sitting and waiting for observation on those. So, and then we'll work with the health department on any checking that we need to do or checking. I can't come up with the word right now, but we'll work to check if they were exposed to COVID, if they were exposing anybody else, and go and check that with the health department. So they helped us out last year with one incident, and it worked out really well. All right. Will refunds be given if you cannot pass the pre-screening checklist? At this point, right now we went back to our traditional refund policy. The refund policy says that refunds will be given less 15% in the event of medical emergencies or in the event of like a family member passing or something like that. Currently, that's still our refund policy, and this would be under my definition of medical emergency. So that would be something that you could do that way, but we are cleared by the health department to run camp, and we're able to come to camp. So please don't pay money to come to camp if you don't think you're going to come. Only pay money if you're guaranteed wanting to come to the program. And we have a good guarantee this year that the program that we're running is going to happen. If anything, it will get more relaxed, not more strict as we're coming out of this. So I would say these would be on a case-by-case basis if they don't pass their pre-screening checklist to apply for a refund, and we classify that as a medical emergency. If a scout does not pass, we just talked about that, same thing. Will buffs work as a mask? So I'm assuming we're talking maybe about net gaiters or something. Regardless of what the name is or what you're using, it needs to cover your nose, your face, and your chin. So it needs to fully cover that, and it needs to be made of a fabric that is relatively able to block things. So it can't be like a lace mask where you can see right through it or some sheer fabric. It needs to be a fabric that can block your breath and your sneezes and your coughs and things from coming out. So yes, if it does that, it would be acceptable. So whatever you want to do and whatever you're more comfortable with, that's fine. Or I know some people aren't able to wear masks and they wear face shields instead. And that would also be acceptable as long as it's covering your face, your nose, and your chin. For merit badges that do not fill up, may scouts fill up the remaining slots with those badges that so they can get 5 if they're in a reduced week. We are not going to be allowing for that on the online sign up, but if you want to come to the office at camp after the camp meeting that we have on Sunday night, just like you normally do to change out badges, and take a look at the schedule and try and grab a few extra ones, I will allow it at that point. So you're welcome to come and try and get additional badges at that point for scouts that may be trying to get certain ones for Eagle or for rank advancement. And at that point, I'm happy to let the schedule go and we can try and fill it up. I don't know how many spots will be available though, because when we're limiting things to 10, it is going to get probably about as full as it normally gets when we do 5 at the full capacity. So, but yes, we'll do that at camp. Can we still do mixed meal plans like ABB, so dining hall in the morning and lunch and dinner in the site? Yes, of course you can. Your dining hall will just be delivered to your site. So we will still do hybrid plans if you're a troop that does that, but we will be delivering those to the site, not serving them at the dining hall. Is sharing a site with another troop allowed? Yes, sharing a site with another troop is allowed, and we are back to our normal sharing policies for camp. So if you're coming to camp, some troops are sharing with other troops. They're in large sites, they are spaced out, and they need to camp on opposite sides of the campsite and keep space. And when they're using latrines and things, they need to be washing their hands. But there's no difference between the latrine in a campsite and the latrine at the public restroom at Frontier headquarters or the pool or any other place where everybody will be able to use it. We are asking that troops be mindful of cleaning their latrines more often, and we're recommending that troops bring some additional cleaning wipes with them to help wipe down high touch areas like toilet seats and handles multiple times a day. But we're going to be doing that for the public restrooms as well, cleaning those multiple times a day to make sure that they're safe and they're clean for the next person. I am going to be sending out an email as well shortly after this, and then it'll let you know all of the information we have for you for summer camp. So what meal plan you have, your scouts, your leaders, your site, your week, and that's what's in our record book. And then that way, if there's any discrepancies, you can send us an email back and let us know. And we'll also let you know at that point if you have anybody else registered in that same campsite who you'll be sharing with. Are scouts age and rank considered for Eagle required merit badge slots? So the way that we do Eagle required merit badges, or not Eagle required, I'm sorry, any merit badges at camp, is some of our merit badges have age requirements, and that information can be found in the leader's guide. So a lot of our Eagle requires do require you to be 14 years of age or older. We don't do it by rank, we do it by age, and it's by your date of birth that you enter in the system, and that is by the first day of camp. That's how the system works. So if they turn 14 by the first day of camp that your week session is scheduled, they'll be eligible to apply and register for those badges. If they don't, the system will say, sorry, you're not old enough for this badge. And not every merit badge has age requirements, but many of the Eagle requireds do, and some other ones just because it requires a higher level of skill. Do I have an email list that you can subscribe to stay tuned and updated? In order to stay tuned and updated to any of our emails, we send it out through the online system. So find out who the person is on your account, if it's not you, and have them add you as a secondary person, so that way you can get those emails as well. We will be trying to do our pre-camp meetings in person because we like to give you your early bird hats and any pre-ordered t-shirts at that time. But we will talk about other options for people to get that information via Zoom if they don't want to make the drive. So that may be something that we do, but we're not quite there yet on that. Right now, we're still planning on doing them in person at the Jadel Center in Toledo. Discount for siblings. We do not, unfortunately, have a sibling discount for camp. We do have our free leader discount, and then we also do our early bird discount. So if you pay before that April 26th date, you will get $20 off per scout. YPT requires 2 leaders, can't have two free leaders. This is a question we got a lot of last year as well. This is something that we built into the system, and it's a way that we were able to use this online system to move forward with it. We understand that there's 2 free leaders, or 2 leaders are required for youth protection. Our camp, I know I've done some research too, is one of the very few camps that offer free leaders at all. Most camps require leaders to pay no matter what. So we do offer leader discounts. If you're having issues with paying for camp or finding leaders, please contact me and we can see if we have some resources available to help your troop out. Michigan Central Registry is required. You're required to turn it in every year, but you're only required to do it once. So you get your copy in the mail, you put that in a filing cabinet with your important documents, and then you make a photocopy of it every year you want to come to camp and turn it in with your paperwork. So for these, any idea how long it takes to get a turnaround? I don't know. I put mine in the mail a few weeks ago and I have not seen it back yet, which makes me a little bit nervous. Michigan camps have been doing this for a little bit longer than us, and it was only a matter of time before we were going to start requiring it as well, just for liability, and this was the year that we implemented it. I'm going to reach out to Michigan camps and see how long they have as far as the turnaround goes, and if they have any issues with this. And then another thing that I know is going to be a big question is Parents' Night. Will this be required? We're not requiring this for Parents' Night. The way that the Michigan law states is if you're in direct supervision alone with scouts or with your leaders and scouts, they need to be with somebody who has it. So parents, again, are not always in direct supervision of the entire troop or anything like that. They're just out to see their kids, and they're going to be with other people who have been cleared, and you have to draw the line somewhere with these. And that's what they also do for Michigan camps. They just, if they don't have it, they need to be chaperoned or with other people who are leaders who are out there for the full week. I can answer more questions in detail about that if you have it, but that's our generic answer for it. If you have any specifics, let me know. It is required, the Michigan Central Registry is required for all adults staying overnight at camp. So it doesn't matter if you're staying one day or multiple days, we do require that for anybody who's staying at camp. If you already have the Central Registry clearance prior that you're used to MTC, will you still accept it? Yes, we do. If you already are for a Michigan troop and you're used to these, just make a photocopy and we will accept your document. And also, if you are somebody who has done this in the past and know a turnaround time, feel free to email that to me. I would be interested to see how long it takes for you to get yours back. We did not get any guidance about carpooling from the health department. This is something that I take that back. So this is not something that they're as concerned about. This is something that you'll want to talk about with your troop. And if you want to do carpooling or not, or if you want to drive separately, but they will be eating with that 8 to 10 person group at camp. So keep that in mind as you're doing stuff. We do recommend that if they do plan on carpooling and they're close together, that they wear a mask while they're in the car, but we're going to leave that up to your troop, your chartering organization, and your troop committee to make that ultimate decision on how you want to travel within your troop to and from events.
Steve, if I could add on to that also,
yeah.
I would highly suggest that you would have your scouts and your parents check their temperature, make sure that everything is good before they come to your troop meeting room before you leave for camp. And the reason I say that is you don't want one scout to show up at your troop meeting room that is not feeling well already and then possibly get the rest of your troop sick before you even come to camp. So just please make sure your leaders or your parents know that they need to be making sure that the scout is in great health before he shows up to come to camp. And I agree with Steve entirely. I would just say the car that they carpool in should be the same patrol they plan on staying with at camp, the same patrol they're going to eat with at camp, and the same group of people that they would theoretically have their mask off around when they are eating, so that you're, again, keeping it together in the smaller possible groups.
Awesome, thank you. Yep, I completely agree with that. Thanks, Chris. Electricity available for CPAP machines. Yes, we do have electricity available, but it is a battery with an inverter, but you can plug in a normal outlet like you have in your home to this, but it's powered by a solar panel in your site. So if you do need to request this, you can do that online. It's the same way you request like you would a merit badge for a scout. So when you put that leader's name in, it's going to ask if you want to add CPAP to them, to that specific person. All you need to do is register for it online, and we'll make sure it's available and ready to go on your site. There is an additional cost for that because we do have a cost involved in keeping the batteries, solar panels, and things up to date because we don't have electricity in the campsites otherwise. It's $25 for the week, I believe, and that'll be available on your registration page. when you sign up for merit badges. So you'll do that when your registration date opens. Will our registration information from 2020 be carried over to 2021? So if you made when we canceled summer camp last year in 2020, we sent out an email and had a form where you could request to have your registration be transferred over to 2021, same site, same week. So anybody who filled out that form, we did that transfer for you. I believe we either asked your number of scouts and leaders at that point for that next year, an estimated amount, or we just transferred the number from last year. I don't remember. Either way, they can get adjusted at any time. And right, just before you pay, just adjust it to whatever you're actually paying for. If you didn't request a transfer though, then you may not be signed up for summer camp. So make sure that you're signed up, because if you didn't go back, if you didn't request a transfer, you would have had to physically get on and sign up for camp or contact me and have me do it. So if none of that's ringing a bell, double check that you're signed up for camp. All you have to do is log into your account and it should show right up under events. If it doesn't show up there, then you're not registered. So you need to get that taken care of. I can take care of that for you, or you can just register online. Somebody's saying that they like in-person and virtual so they can have an option. I like that, and that may be something that we do in the future. Can we add our roster to the registration page ahead of time before merit badge enrollment? Yes, you can. So you're able to input things into your roster at any point in time. And I can actually show that to you really fast too, since I have it up still, I believe. Here it is. So for registration, when you're inside your account, we're in the profile. But if you're on your home screen, or you can click it right here, my group, but it shows up over here again, my group, manage my group. Here it is. So this is my play around group, but you can add people to this group at any point in time. So you can add youth, and all you do is put in their first name. Make sure you're adding date of birth and gender, because that's going to be required for summer camp. It's optional here when you're adding them to this group, but you're going to want to make sure you add those. But those are the only things we care about, is the name, first and last, date of birth, and gender, so we can import that into our summer camp stuff. And then you just hit complete and it adds it to this list right here. You can edit people, delete people if you want to. If you delete somebody, you can hit show deleted and then they'll show up. I don't have anybody deleted right here, so there's nobody here. But this will be the list then that you pull from. So when you're ready to register for badges, you say, okay, and you just click their name, and then you start adding badges to them. And at that point, you don't have to add their names and their date of birth in when you're trying to get badges, because they are first come, first serve. So I highly recommend building your list, and you can do it right now, or you can do it 3 months from now. It doesn't matter. You just want to try and have that ready before your registration date. So we try and import lists for Erie Shores because we have access to their records. So we'll try and do that again this year sometime right before registration. To get your most recent list from ScoutNet, but we unfortunately only have access to Erie Shores records. We don't have them for other councils, so you'd have to put those in by hand. And back here. All right, let's see. Sorry, I'm getting back to my questions. Another comment on virtual, and we'll take this into account with TV monitors maybe for presentations like that at camp, or in your meeting hall. Yep, great. Yes, I will definitely send out an email anytime we make any new changes to the leaders guide. There are any like drastic changes COVID-wise, or things that are going to change how summer camp runs. So we will send those out and let you know. They're asking if we'll send out answers to the Q&A. This is my first time hosting a webinar format like this. I don't know if I can download the questions or not, but I will, if I can, I will try. Otherwise, we are going to be posting this online, this whole video, so that way you can rewatch it and just skip to the Q&A part and listen to me talk about them. The hat, what does the hat look like? That's a great question. I don't know. Actually, give me 1 second. I think I have it right here. So the hat this year looks like the t-shirt, looks just like this. Got paddles right here. I know my filter, and then it's got Pioneer Scout Reservation right here. So that is the hat for this summer. Michigan Crossroads is doing monthly. Awesome. That may be something that we try and do also for our webinars. We have not decided about morning and evening flags. We did talk about that. We're going to be talking about that in April during our staff planning conference. Swim checks. So we're going to try and do swim checks by troop, but we're going to probably space people out a little bit more as we're doing them. You have to use your common sense when it comes to protecting yourself from COVID, but also protecting yourself from life in general. And the health department says that it is safer not to wear a mask in the pool. Surprise, surprise, because you don't want something on your face. So we will not be requiring masks in the pool, but we will be trying to distance people during badges and swim checks and things. But if you're out of the pool, on the pool deck, we are going to be requiring that you have a mask on if you're just standing and watching or doing something like that. We're going to figure out how the best to enforce that, but that is our health department. That's their answer for that. What if you have a scout that can't arrive till Tuesday? No worries, just turn in your check paper sheet at that point, and then you can check in at the office and we'll get you linked up with your troop that's already here and take care of everything right here at the office. You will miss out on Monday merit badges and whatever you don't get to on Tuesday, so you may have to make those things up during open area time. Is it possible to send an alternative week for the pre-camp meeting? Yes, of course it is. You're welcome to come to any of them. Give me a heads up that you're coming, and if I already have your hats and t-shirts available, I will bring them so they're at that meeting specifically. If you can't make your pre-camp meeting, and let me know so that way we're ready to accept your paperwork and stuff. But yes, we prefer you come the week because we're ready to go, but if you can't make that meeting, let us know and you can come to another week. Hammock poles in sight. If no hammock poles are in our sites, can we hang hammocks in the trees? We don't have a hard, fast rule on not hanging hammocks in trees, although we are putting these hammock sites in to help protect our trees. If you do use trees for hammocking, make sure you're following all the BSA safety rules when it comes to using trees and checking for dead branches, making sure that you're using sticks with your ropes along the tree so it's not hurting the bark on the tree, and that you're only attaching to strong, sturdy trees, not small saplings, so we don't ruin the trees that are already in our campsites, giving us beautiful shade. And yes, hammocks will be allowed in other sites on trees as long as you're careful. But we're trying to add more and more of these hammock camping sites to other campsites. We just were able to do 4 this year, and we'll have more to come if they're a success. What does current registration look like by week? Are we expecting the same amount of scouts? Right now, given this time of the year, registration is looking about the same, if not a little bit less. But we are looking at typical weeks ranging anywhere from 450 to 475 scouts, all the way down to some lower weeks where we have about 200 scouts. Will merit badges such as life-saving that require interaction still be able to be completed at camp? That's something that we need to talk about and we need to figure out, and that's going to be specific for the badges. If there's a way that we can still do the requirement in a different way and still complete it, we will. But if not, there may be more partials involved. And again, with COVID and the way that we work with our health department, we just need to make sure everyone's staying safe. And hopefully next year we won't have to worry about things like that. Any limit to number of scouts and adults per site? There's normal limits that we've always had on scouts and adults in sites. It's a capacity limit, and we usually don't schedule anybody above the number of the capacity, and our sites are relatively large, so that way there's plenty of space to space out. So we don't have any given number per site, but we're not going to overbook a site to where there's too many people either. Somebody just chimed in and said central registry is normal 2 weeks, but COVID has extended the turnaround time, so do it early. Mine, I think, has been 3 weeks now, so try and get those in as soon as possible. But thank you, Greg. Any restrictions for Parents' Night, screenings, Parents' Night happening? That's another large camp-wide event. I think we still would like to host parents, but I don't know about their ability of where they're going to be able to go in terms of program areas and things. That's probably one that hadn't hit my radar as hard yet. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to bring that up to the health department to see if they have any suggestions. Same question, parents' night. All right. Some people are saying 4 to 6 weeks for the central registry clearance, just so you're aware. With more equipment needed for camp, will trailers be allowed to be parked in camp? Yes, so if you're new to camp, we will pull your trailer right back to your campsite and have it ready to go. You drop it off at the front of camp, and then we, our ranger staff, pull it back to your campsite and get it in that perfect spot for you. If it's not in the perfect spot, let us know, and we'll have it moved to the right spot in an hour on your check-in day, and you'll have that available for you the entire week, and then we'll pull it out to that same lot for easy, no back in, hitch up, and take off. You can also fax the Michigan forms. So I mailed mine. I did see a fax number on the form, but it didn't have instructions to fax. But I did see that Michigan, I think, says that you can also fax. So that may be an easier option. Maybe you'll get it back sooner. I don't know. Let's see. The BSA required background check, why is that not enough? Why do we need the Michigan one? That's a great question, and it's a great question for the Michigan state legislature. They're the ones that require this. It's not just required for BSA, it's required for anybody in Michigan youth serving organizations. This is something that we probably should have been doing a little earlier than we're doing it now, but we've made the ultimate decision that with the way that our camp is set up, and if heaven forbid anything were to happen on Michigan soil, which would be under the jurisdiction of Michigan, we would have that check in hand, that background check that Michigan requires, and we'd be following all state laws. So it's unfortunately the law, and I know that it's more burdensome to have that as well, but I think the ultimate goal is making sure to keep our scouts safe out at camp. And I think we can all get behind that. I just lost. Sorry, I lost my place. What uniform requirements will be affected? As far as uniforms go, it'll be the same uniform requirements. We ask that you wear your Class A or field uniform for dinner and evening retreat if we have that. Now, we're not serving dinner at the dining hall, so that is probably what you're trying to ask. That's a great question. And if we do have evening flags in a large group gathering, we will be wearing our uniforms for that. If we do it a different way, we will let you know if that changes. But it's also either recommended or required that you travel in your scout uniform when traveling to and from scouting events. So you should show up with your uniform on, ready to go at camp. We also take a photo of you right when you get to camp, so you'll want to have that on for that. The new handicrafts building, when will it be ready? Oh, I'm glad to hear that question. So the new handicrafts building, I shouldn't say I haven't done much on it at all, but our ranger staff and volunteers have been extremely hard at work on this building. They were putting up walls today at the building, framing them. I know that plumbing is starting to go in, electrical still has to go in, and we still need some wall coverings and things like that. With the way that things are looking, we are excited to use the building, but we'll be excited to use it in 2022. So that is the expected date for our new handicrafts building, and keep watching our Facebook page for any updates on photos. OA callouts, we'll discuss that at our April planning conference and let you know. Being a Michigan troop, do we need the registry form? Yeah, so everyone needs to do it regardless if you're a Michigan troop or not. If you've already done it in the past and you have it, it's still good. Just make a copy of it and give it to us at check-in. Masks required for troop pictures. Either we'll be distanced or we'll be wearing masks, one or the other. We'll figure it out, and that will be communicated later once we get that done. That's another group type thing that we're going to be talking about at our meeting. Can swim checks be done prior to coming to camp? We do not allow swim checks to be done prior to camp. Our aquatics committee here at Erie Shores requires them to be done at camp because we do have a lot of aquatics, swimming things in our lake, and we want to make sure that everyone has we want to be able to check that off ourselves with our guards. So that's through our aquatics committee. That's their rule. All right, I think I have gotten through all of the questions, and they were all wonderful, great questions, and I appreciate all of them. If you do have more questions or want to talk in person about something, please, please, please don't hesitate to email me or call my office right here. If you don't get me, leave me a voicemail and I'll give you a call back. Outside of that, we're really looking forward to summer camp, and we're going to communicate any changes as they come up. Another thing that I would like to offer this year as well is if you have problems with your online account or questions, and it's easier to do it via Zoom, where I can literally show you on your own account how to work it, I'm happy to do that as well. So just send me an email, let me know, I'll send you a Zoom link, and we can set up a time to do it, and we can show you how to use the online system with your actual account, and show you all the ins and the outs of that. So other
Steve,
than
you
that,
do have,
yeah.
I do have a couple other questions that came in on our Facebook page as they were
Okay.
watching on there. One of them is asking about will the water activities be open this summer? And it is our intention, as Steve has already said, that water activities will be open. Depending on how COVID is going at the time, we may or may not have open area time in the pool or lake where they would have a mask off, but that will be determined at a later date, and we will have that information for you at your pre-camp leaders meeting. Time will be able to tell you that answer at that point. Another question, Steve, was the Arrow of Light camp. I believe registration is supposed to start at April 1st. There was also a mention it was March 1st. Do you recall that off the top, or do we need to get back to that one?
No, no problem. Let me look right now on the online registration page. I think it's on there. It says registration opens on April 1st on the page.
Okay.
So I will get back to you on that because I thought it was opening. I thought I had it set up to open otherwise, but I will put that on my notes and I'll get that rectified tonight on the page. So by tomorrow, go to the Arrow of Light page. If it says April 1st, it's April 1st. If it says March 1st, it's March 1st, and I'll get it figured out.
Sounds good. I guess the other thing I would like to point out is that we are doing our darndest to make sure that we can run camp as much as normal as possible. And that is, Steve and I, that's our goal. We're going to ask that you be willing to work with us as we move along. Obviously, we're always going to err on the side of caution and make sure that we're running the safest camp we can when it comes to COVID and everything else. So while we've presented all this tonight in the Leader's Guide, the way we would like to have it, there may be changes along the way. We may not be able to always offer as much as we would like to offer, but we want to shoot for the stars and try to get as close as we can. So that's what we've been aimed at always from the beginning is we want to do everything to be able to say yes before we have to say no. And that's kind of a goal across the board for us here at Camp Frontier. And I want to make sure that you understand that if we do have to say no to something, we really have worked out as many other possibilities to get around it, and it just is what it is. So I think that's all I had for you, Steve.
Awesome. I had one more question that came in, a real easy one. Will med forms be returned at the end of the week? Yes, we always return med forms at the end of the week, so you'll get those back, but we do ask that you give us copies because if for some reason we have to pull a med form or something like that, and it ends up on the health officer's desk or something like that, we don't want to have your original. We want to make sure we have your copy. So make copies of your med forms, turn them in, put them in a binder if that works better for you, or a folder, but we will return them at the end of the week. We will not be returning the Michigan Central Registry. We need to keep those on file, and we also keep on file the talent release document. So those ones, make sure you're making a copy of the Michigan one because we are going to keep that on file and hold on to it. But it's going to go in a big filing cabinet in storage like at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones. So accessing it again the next year, if you say I turned it in last year, it would take us a long time to find that file. So you need to make sure you're turning it in once a year. And we like to have that record every single year so they're easy to access based on the year. So great question. That's all I have. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I don't see any other questions. Oh, wait, I got one more. Is Wi-Fi available at camp? Yes, Wi-Fi is available at camp. So we do have it at most of our program areas, our leaders lounge, dining hall, So any of those areas, you're able to do Wi-Fi at camp.
There was one other question, Steve, that we're going to have to do some research on, and that was there was a comment about the Michigan registry and what good does it do us if the registry was done 5 years ago. So the information Steve got already from Michigan was that it's once and done. We will check back into that and see and talk with our risk management folks if they want it done again this year, or what the timeline we should be requesting those.
Sure.
I totally understand what the point was made, and in today's world, it would definitely be better to have it more recent. So we'll get back on that also.
For sure. And just to note that Michigan Central Registry clearance is in addition to the required one to become a leader through the Boy Scouts of America. So registered leaders staying 72 hours or more are actually having 2 background checks done, one through Michigan and one through the National Registry. So we're crossing, all those boxes off. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Again, email me if you have any questions or give my phone line a ring, and we're really looking forward to summer camp this year, and we'll see you later.
Thank you, everybody. And also, please make sure you keep passing around to all your scouts that we are looking for camp staff. We want to make sure that we get as many possibilities out there as we can for that. And we'd love to have all of them.
Excellent. All righty. We'll see you guys later. Bye.